Welcome. Today we're going to meet Tosan Ahn Chang, or at least a chatbot AI of Tosan Ahn Chang. Let's see how close this can be to Tosan Ahn Chang. I reached out to my friend Jay Kim, who works with Educado, and they created this custom Tosan Ahn Chang. And if this works, it'd be kind of cool to meet virtual folks all across history and maybe even as a part of our virtual museum as well. So it looks like hey, I'm Tosang Anachang. Looks like avocado though. And I'm a tutor for the Educado team's class. Whether you really understand a certain topic or want to study together before your next step, I'm here to help. So let's go ahead and maybe go ahead and begin with one of their pre-selected questions. Maybe who are you and what did you do? And it looks like it typed that prompt into this area where you could just type in the prompt, and I'm going to push that send button. And as I push that send button, you can see that wheel turning, and it's saying, I'm Ahn Chang, also known as Tosan, a prominent Korean politician, independence activist, and leader of the Korean American immigrant community in the United States. I played a key role in advocating for Korean independence and building a democratic society through education, economics, and military strategies. All right, well, I do have some background information on Tosan Ahn Chang, so I'm going to just ask some questions that I am familiar with. For example, tell me more about Pachapa Camp. That's the first Korean American community. So we'll see what comes up from that. Ooh, Pachapa Camp, also known as Tosan's Republic, was established by Ahn Chang in Riverside as a Korean settlement. It was considered to be the first Korean settlement in the U.S. It's true. Ahn plays a crucial role in bringing Koreans to the area through the Korean Employment Bureau, contributing to the growth of the Korean population in Riverside. So that's true. He did work with the Employment Bureau to create job opportunities for Koreans at that time. It was a very difficult time to get different jobs because of the language barrier and also cultural and racial differences. All right, well, let's go ahead and ask some more questions, what was it like to live at Pachapa Camp? All right, so there we are in River. Living in Pachapa Camp was a unique experience for Korean immigrants who settled there. It was a community where people supported each other and worked together to build a new life in the new country. The residents of Pachapa Camp, also known as Dosun's Republic, worked in citrus farms and established a Korean Employment Bureau to help others find work. They created a strong community in Riverside, building a sense of belonging and solidarity among themselves. Can you imagine what it might have been like to be part of such a community? It's kind of asking me a question now. I would imagine that a community like this would be helpful for new immigrants. Let's see what happens when I answer that question. And let's see. Yes, you're absolutely right. Communities like Pachapa Camp were incredibly helpful for new immigrants, providing a support system, a sense of belonging, and opportunities for immigrants to work together and support each other as they build new lives in a new country. Ahn Chang played a significant role in such communities to help Korean immigrants adjust to life in the United States and achieve success. It's amazing to see how such a strong community can make a difference for newcomers, don't you think? Wow, I thought that answered that question really well, helping me to understand, more personally what might have been happening and giving me the opportunity as a student to be metacognitive, think about my feelings, on how I might have felt during a time like this. Maybe I'll also ask, so how did Pachapa Camp create a sense of belonging, right? That's actually a good question for just, in general, like today, creating belonging is so important, right? So Pachapa Camp created a sense of belonging by bringing Korean immigrants together in a supportive, tight-knit community. Ahn Chang through his efforts like the Korean Employment Bureau and leading the Korean population of Riverside, fostered a strong sense of unity and support among residents of the camp. The community provided a sense where immigrants could share their experiences, culture, and challenges, and helping them feel connected and supported in a new and unfamiliar environment. Okay, let me kind of ask a different question now, like maybe a question that is more of a hypothetical. What were Ahn Chang-ho's thoughts about Colonel Young Ok Kim? That's another Korean American who's very influential. And so let's see if it's able to make those kinds of connections. Colonel Yong Kim was not at Pachapa camp, but here we go. Ahn Chang-ho viewed Colonel Yong Kim, a distinguished Korean American war hero, with admiration and respect for his contributions to the United States during World War II. Colonel Kim fought valiantly as a member of the 100th Infantry Battalion and the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, which were comprised mainly of Japanese Americans. Ahn Chang-ho likely saw Colonel Kim as a symbol of Korean American patriotism bravery, recognizing his sacrifices and achievements to service in his country. It was inspiring to see Korean Americans like Colonel Yong Kim make a difference, significant contribution to the United States, don't you think? And then maybe I'll also ask about Colonel Yong Kim's family, or Tosan Ahn Chang-ho's family. Tell me about Ahn Chang-ho's family. All right. Ahn Chang-ho had a family that played a significant role in his life. He and his wife were the first Koreans to legally immigrate to the United States as a married couple, so the first married couple to the United States, showing their strong bond and commitment to each other. Ahn's family supported him in his activism and efforts in Korean independence. They were an important part of his journey in establishing Korean organizations and advocating for Korean community in the United States and in Korea. Must have been wonderful for Ahn Chang-ho to have the love and support of his family toward his goals. Maybe I want to know about his children as well. Tell me about Ahn Chang-ho's children. Now, you're noticing here that it's only giving like a paragraph of information at a time. I'm sure there could be pages and pages of information on any of these questions, but it's just giving you a bite size, which is kind of nice. Ahn Chang-ho had 3 children with his wife, Helen Ahn, whose names were Ralph, Philip, and Susan. During World War II, Ahn faced challenges, but their love and support for each other helped them navigate difficult times. Helen Ahn, as a dedicated housewife, raised children on her own for many years, demonstrating strength and resilience in the face of adversity. I was talking about like a story of resilience. I could tell you it was difficult for the Ahn Chang-ho family. And then those children also were very resilient as a part of Korean American history as well. I probably could ask specific things about the children, but I'm kind of curious to see if it's going to tell me more about what was hard for Ahn Chang-ho. What were some difficult times for Ahn Chang-ho? So it did talk about the challenges, right? Okay, here we go. So difficult time for Ahn Chang-ho was when he was arrested by Japanese authorities in 1937. Although he was released on bail due to severe internal illnesses, he faced challenges and health complications during this period. His health continued to deteriorate, leading to his passing on March 10th, 1938 at the Keho Imperial University, now Seoul National University Hospital. Despite these challenges, Ahn Chang-ho continued to fight for Korean independence and the betterment of his people until the end of his life. It was a challenging time for him and those who supported him in his efforts. Can you imagine the strength and determination Ahn Chang-ho must have had during these difficult times? Let's kind of now have a cross-section with somebody in Korea, Yugwan-sun, who was also someone fighting for independence in Korea. What were Ahn Chang-ho's thoughts about Yugwan-sun? So this is a Korean American teenager, or a Korean teenager in Korea fighting for the independence in Korea. Oh, okay, not a lot of information about Yugwan-sun on his specific thoughts. However, both Ahn Chang-ho and Yugwan-sun were important figures in the Korean independence movement, each contributing to the cause in their own ways. Yugwan-sun, also known as Korea's Joan of Arc, was a young activist who played a role in the March 1st movement against Japanese colonial rule. Ahn Chang-ho, on the other hand, was a prominent leader that advocated for Korean independence, working tirelessly for the freedom and betterment of his people. Their dedication and sacrifices are a testament to their commitment to the Korean nation. It is fascinating to learn about different individuals who fought for the same cause. I will say that's pretty fascinating how they're both fighting for the same cause. Now, I do know that Korean history is not one of democracy, but more of a monarchy, hierarchical relationships. And yet today it's one of the greatest democracies in the world. So I'm kind of curious how that transpired. And I think it had to do with the Korean Declaration of Independence, which was modeled after President Wilson's 14 points and also the American Declaration of Independence. So let's ask it that question. Was Ahn Chang influenced by the Korean Declaration of Independence? Ahn Chang-ho was influenced by the Korean Declaration of Independence, also known as the March 1st movement. The movement took place on March 1st, was a peaceful protest against Japanese colonial rule in Korea. Ahn Chang-ho supported the movement and its call for independence, and he believed the moral and spiritual renewal of the Korean people through education is a crucial part of the struggle for independence. The March 1st movement inspired and energized many Koreans, including Ahn Chang-ho, to continue their fight for Korean independence and build a democratic society. It's a significant event that shaped Ahn Chang-ho's beliefs and actions in his pursuit for Korean independence. What do you think about the impact of historical movements on leaders like Ahn Chang-ho? I'm going to ask you, what do you think Ahn Chang-ho was influenced by the Declaration of Independence in the United States? Okay, and make sure I got that spelling correct. Independence. Okay, here we go. Ahn Chang-ho was likely influenced by the Declaration of Independence in the United States, as he was an early leader in the Korean immigrant community in the U.S. The principles of freedom, democracy, and independence that were espoused in the U.S. Declaration of Independence may have resonated with Ahn Chang-ho and has influenced his beliefs and actions advocating for Korean independence. His experiences in the United States and interactions with American society may have further shaped his vision for a democratic Korea free from colonial rule. It's interesting to see how historical documents and movements can inspire leaders like Ahn Chang-ho in the pursuit of justice and freedom. What do you think about the impact of such influence of leaders? So that's a powerful thought, that Ahn Chang-ho, being in the United States as a Korean American and experiencing and tasting democracy and starting Pachapa Camp with democratic ideals, would then think of a Korea free from colonial rule and also a democracy when it was under colonial rule, right? But even before that, Korea did not have a precedent of a democracy because they were more of a monarchy and a hierarchy. So this is like fascinating, right? The idea that Tosan Ahn Chang-ho was influenced by American democracy, and therefore Korea also being influenced by American democracy through Ahn Chang-ho and other Korean American leaders. All right, so do you think Ahn Chang-ho was influenced by President Wilson's 14 points? All right, so this is kind of connected to the Model Ethnic Studies curriculum, where we do look at President Wilson's 14 points. And so we'll see if talking to Ahn Chang-ho, you're here, we're going to see some connections because there were. Ahn Chang-ho may have been influenced by President Wilson's 14 points as they outlined principles for peace and self-determination that could have resonated with his beliefs in advocating for Korean independence. President Wilson's 14 points, presented during World War I, emphasized the importance of national sovereignty and the rights of people to choose their own government. These ideas align with Ahn Chang-ho's vision for free and independent Korea. The principles of self-determination and national liberation may have influenced Ahn Chang-ho's pursuit of Korean independence and efforts to build a democratic society in Korea. It's fascinating to see how global events and declarations can impact the beliefs and actions of leaders like Ahn Chang-ho. What do you think about the connections between historical documents and the actions of influential figures? That's actually another kind of interesting question. I'm not going to ask it any more questions, but let's talk now about the application of something like this. The idea that you can create a chatbot which resembles a historical figure and is responding maybe similarly to how that historical figure may have responded. Pretty valuable in getting to know that person at a different level. It almost feels like you're having a conversation rather than just reading something out of a textbook. And then I don't know if you could have multiple chatbots in one place and kind of have a tea party as though you're going to like a tea party and having a chance to meet these various folks. Well, I think that's the bell, and that's all we have for now. But I hope this was a great intro to what it could look like to have a historical figure like Ahn Chang, Korean American leader, as a chatbot powered by artificial intelligence.